Cool. So hi, my name's Josh. I'm a course careers instructor for IT and YouTuber.
And
And
my name is
Shane.
Brandon Roderick. It was supposed to come in like that.
Yeah.
And I'm a recent graduate of this guy's course.
Yes, yes. Thanks so much for coming on and doing an interview. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. So thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, cool. And then normally I would ask what your social medias were, but you gave them to me, I think, before we started this. So I'll just like throw them up on the screen or in the description or something. So
Yeah,
it looks like you
sounds
had
good.
a LinkedIn and a YouTube as well.
Yeah. The YouTube was pretty much, and this is like a common pattern I've noticed with a lot of your students. We created those with the course. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
a social media free guy. Well, not counting Discord before doing the course.
Before you got into the course in IT, I guess, can you talk about what you were doing beforehand, like in terms of like your work, I guess?
So I was working a 60 plus hour job at a behavioral school. It was a contract and it was salaried. So
Mm,
all the extra work going in wasn't really getting paid as much as I was hoping for, right? So I had a lot of my hands filled at the time. But I had a background in special education, elementary education, and K through 12 computer science. So the
oh,
passion for
wow.
technology was always there.
Nice.
And I was always watching. I was always like not sure if I wanted to teach before teaching, and I watched. And I'm sure you're gonna link him up here. Shane Hummus,
Oh,
and
you know
I
him.
yeah. Um, and to be honest, I would watch him during the summer, right? And I don't really know if I want to teach. And he consistently was putting like information technology S tier career. I don't know if you've seen his like career
Yeah,
tier list.
yeah.
But yeah, that was the first time. So he linked you while talking about information technology, and that was like the first time I was exposed to you was during the summer this year.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice. Thanks, Shane. I feel like your teaching background will help a lot, not only in IT, but if you decide to do YouTube, I think you talk and articulate really well. So
Yeah.
you're like a latent YouTuber, I feel.
Yeah, so like the soft skill, well, it's funny you say that because I used to like have severe social anxiety, right? When
Really,
I was
really?
younger.
Oh,
And I
wow.
did Let's Play videos because they're really popular in 2009, 2010,
Oh,
and they're probably down now. I had a high-pitched voice at the age of 12. They weren't
yeah.
good videos, but like that was part of how I like started building my interpersonal skills, which I would say I had zero
Yeah.
about 10 years ago or so.
So how long did it take you to get through the course, like from the time you registered to the time you graduated, or did you finish it yet, actually?
Yeah, no, I did finish it.
Okay.
I remember I started it around Thanksgiving. And back then, I was like, I think I even said this on the Discord. I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna be in like any small groups and stuff, but hi, I'm Brandon. Like at first I did not think I was gonna get a job off of it. I thought it was gonna be something I learned before finishing my year, right?
Hmm.
But it just turned into something like I really like this, right? So I
Oh,
started
nice.
around Thanksgiving. I put in my resignation, like I gave a month resignation notice on December 3rd. And then I finished like all the labs probably a day after that.
Oh,
And
wow.
at that point, it's the career prep, right?
Hmm.
Which that took me a lot of time because like I had to find a time to record the videos while also juggling like near 60 hour because I would come in, I would stay till 5, I came in at 7, and I'd come
Hmm.
into the weekends 7 to 3.
Oh my
So
God.
we somehow found the time to record those videos and have a decent sleep schedule. But that's pretty much what I was juggling before, give or take, Christmas break kicked in. I think by that point, I did 126 applications total. I
Oh,
heard
wow.
back probably, this is like in a 2 week time period.
Okay.
Um, I heard
Mm.
back from about 15 people. I interviewed with about 10, and a lot of them
15?
were in area. Yeah, a lot of them were in area
Mm.
because I hate driving. And like it's
Mm.
really snowy here. I was like, I
Oh,
hope I get a
okay.
remote. But I starting to get really warmed up to the idea of an in-person on-site job, right? And
Gotcha.
that's what we ended up doing toward the end of it. And that was the other thing. So the salary, I was
Mm.
like, because you see it, you see two different. It's really easy to tell what would be like a good starting position, what isn't, because you could see ones that are like 15 an hour,
Yeah.
and then you can see ones that are like 20 or even like willing to negotiate in descriptions. So you can tell which ones, and I'm going to say this in a way that is out of love. You can tell which people value their IT companies and which one, like their departments, and which ones don't, usually from
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
so a part of it was really trying to find ones that I could tell were valuing IT as well.
It's funny because you interviewed to like a lot of things, and then you ended up working, right, or you got a job. Probably like the next like month or something, people are gonna be like emailing you and be like, "Hey, do you want to like interview with us?" Or trying to like
Happening right now, and I'm just starting training. So like I'm really preoccupied with it, and then I check my email. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm gonna respond to these.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem, but it's kind of a good problem. The only thing that
Yeah,
sucks is if one of them are like, "Hey, do you want like $50, like some crazy like salary, but you already started working," and then you're like, "Oh
yeah.
God, like I don't know." Well, it's good. I feel like you said you applied to 120 something, and you got like 15 response for interview. That's like pretty good. I feel.
I thought it was. And something else too, and I think a lot of people should know this. When you want a remote job, you need to realize that there's like 700 applications to each of those job posts. And
Uh,
it's just really important to know like that can be difficult to land one of those and to not get too attached to it, right? Because there's a lot of good opportunities in your area that I'm sure you can find too. And that's why like, and they can grow you a lot too.
yeah.
So
Yes.
it just kind of depends what you're looking for too, because this is just coming from a guy that like didn't have any like professional like official experience too. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because it's kind of hard to find remote jobs in the very beginning because like I said, like you said, like a lot of entry level people want a remote job too, and it's really important for you to start getting experience as soon as you can because like once you start working, then you suddenly get exposed to all this technology, and then it's
Right.
easier to take that and then get a remote job, in a couple of months, right? Because you're already working and have experience already. So.
Because like you can hold out for like the perfect opportunity, but you can also like go out and try to make an opportunity perfect for you as well.
Oh yeah, that's a
So
great way. That's a great way to put it.
that being said, I'm taking another class right now for SQL.
Hmm.
And the comparison, like I don't want to give out the name of whoever did the course, but the comparison now that I've taken your course, it's like night and day. Like you're so articulate with like simplifying the process of IT where you could watch another class entirely and it's almost like you spoiled me, Josh, because now like they're talking like really technical and I'm like I need a classic Josh metaphor here and they're
Oh
not,
shoot,
or analogy, and they're not giving me it right now.
I appreciate that. I really try to do that. So thanks for noticing.
Uh-huh. Well, that's coming from like, like the professional like teacher or whatever, the licensed one. So, you got the
Oh
seal of
shit.
approval here.
Oh damn. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
After you finished to the time you started like doing all your interviewing and then you finally got a job, like how long did that take to actually like land your
I
job?
I was thinking about this, and I think honestly, because like I officially finished the course, because you start applying for jobs typically before you finish the course. It's
Okay.
kind of set up in that way, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could be wrong on that, but I think so. And so like you kind of set up your LinkedIn. I feel like I was done with the labs in like a week and a half to 2 weeks.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
think the job process execution slash preparation was about 2 weeks. I think the execution was about with the interviews and stuff. I
Hmm.
think 3 weeks is all it took. December 23rd to, so like my last official day of work at the other school was January 12th, and I
Hmm.
got the job offer January 13th. I literally got
Oh
it at
wow.
the last, which was exactly how I had planned. I was like, I'm going to put in a month-long resignation and hopefully I have a job by the end of it. And it
You
somehow
did
turned out.
it. That's awesome.
And I also was like, and I want to have at least 20 an hour. And I got the salary goal and I
Hmm.
got the time frame goal as well, which boggled my mind. I didn't think
That's
I was going to get both.
That's pretty good. You got like a exactly 20?
Mhm.
Did you have to like negotiate for that at all, or they you had it in mind and they just gave it to you and you're like, all right, I'm good to go?
I don't know if this is like a common thing now, but it feels like a lot of like applications like to ask desired salary so they can like kind of just meet you where you're at. And I feel like that's like a good companies will do that. And I feel like the one I did like tried to meet those needs, you know?
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
And it was
They just
kind of
asked you.
easy for me though. So like since I was at a really tough school, right? Something that
Mhm.
was like helpful in my situation was I was making 56,000 prior to this. And
Mhm.
so I would just kind of throw it out there in hopes like, and hope like realistically I probably would have taken less than 20, but like throwing it out there helped, I think, a lot too.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. And it's like super easy to increase your salary in IT. Like if you want to be super aggressive, you can just and there's no rule like you need to stay at your job for 2 years. There isn't any of that. So when you feel like, oh, I've learned enough, and if you feel like you want to get another one, it's not hard to like, increase your salary like quite a bit. So
right.
especially with experience. So that's good. Would you say like this is for anyone thinking about joining course careers? Is there any particular part of the course that you would recommend them to like really pay attention to that really helped you a lot or anything like that?
I think there's a lot of applications that are introduced in your course, and I don't think so. PowerShell is a good example. You use it briefly in one of your labs, right? For a random name generator.
Yeah.
You might not be doing PowerShell, but you also might get a job that almost exclusively uses PowerShell, and they pay attention to the fact that you have familiarity with it. So I would say pay attention to the applications you're using, because like I at one point you used an SQL or SQL, they have both pronunciations. And
Hmm.
that's like the one that got me in my current job is they
Oh,
saw that I
really?
had familiarity with SQL and they were like, how did you use this? And I was like, um, and I just like gave a straight answer. I was like, well, you had databases involved in like one of your labs, and I
Hmm.
used it to basically create my own data for my network slash ticketing system essentially.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
that point, I just kind of like said it, and they were like, "All right," and I was like, "Okay."
That's tight.
That was like a big thing for me. So at that point, I ended up in like taking another class for SQL, and I know they're also doing on-site training to make it more relevant. But I wanted to like come prepared ahead of the game as much as I could because I'm. It's not like I'm having a week off or anything. But
Yeah. Damn.
um,
You're busy.
yeah, no, hey, I mean, we'll do what we can. Like it is like because I don't know, it's not really coding. It's a lot of it's basically database management. But
Hmm.
it is really cool how even like the things you're not expecting to get you jobs do.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
and
gosh.
obviously your ticketing system helped because you're going to see ticketing in every portion of IT.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so because like we were going through the ticketing system today, right?
Oh,
And it
at
looked,
your work.
yeah, and it
Oh,
pretty
nice.
much looked exactly like the OS ticket module we were going over from work. Like, and I knew how the SLAs worked, and I knew how like the priorities worked, and they were like, okay, well, you seem like you know what you're doing. So like, and that's kind of what we wanted the course to be doing. So that's the thing. Like, as long as you're like really open to learning, and because people understand that you're not going to know everything, as long as
Hmm.
you're really open to learning and you're focused on it and you're set on it, and I feel like a lot of people are going to succeed through this course.
What is your job? I don't think I asked you. Do you have like did they give you like a title, or do you know what you do like on a day to day, or can you
I
talk
am
about it?
a software specialist. So like there's some people that there's like project specialists at this business,
Hmm.
and there's software specialists, and basically my job is called, I don't know if I want to give out the company name, but
Yeah,
in a
it's okay.
nutshell, right?
Mm.
They focus on machines that clock in and clock out, and they're really focused on like if it's keeping track of all that data correctly, and
Hmm.
that's where the databases come into play. I just always want to be as good as I possibly can with whatever I'm applying myself to, and so that's just kind of the natural direction. And hopefully, if it's something that is a good fit, it's going to be obvious. Like that's the beauty of IT is you'll know if you found something that's good for you because you're going to feel it.
Yeah,
Like if you're
like
feeling that
it.
anxiety and stuff, well, then you can always exercise, like the at will contracts. You can exercise that stuff too. You can understand what's a good fit for you, you know?
Yeah,
So
this is really key advice, by the way, which I should have taken in my career to kind of recognize when you're getting anxiety from a certain thing and maybe you don't do that thing, right?
yeah. But like, and that's coming from the guy that was just teaching for 6 months. I was like, nope.
Oh,
Like, I've gotten good at recognizing that, and that's going to be something I'm looking out for when it comes to knowing what the right future move is with IT, since there's so many directions you can take it.
yeah, it's like infinite almost. Do you have any? This is not necessarily for course careers, but anyone who wants to get into IT or change their career, like having done it yourself, like really, really quickly, do you have any kind of advice for those people who are interested in doing the same thing, maybe?
My advice is to understand that it's okay to want to move your career in a different path, especially if it's for things like work-life balance. If you're doing a job where work-life balance, because I said this in interviews, I said that when they say what's your biggest like weakness or something, right? I'm like finding a work-life balance because I can't stop. And finding jobs where you understand that you're gonna get like you can find what you need personally through IT. It's just a matter of, are you willing to put in the time, and are you willing to possibly go outside of your comfort zone and do something a little different from course careers as well? Because something I feel like people need to understand is once they graduate from course careers, awesome. But can you
Yeah.
understand other facets of IT, and are you willing to take that next step and have the courage to be like, I don't completely know these things, but I was able to learn this, and this amount of, because like I said, I learned how to set up a ticketing system and an Active Directory by scratch within a month and a half. Of course, I can learn all these other things, right?
Yeah, very key.
Especially once you apply yourself full time. Like realistically, you have another job. You're going to take this on the side. You're going to hopefully finish it and hopefully transition to a new career, right? So if you can learn all these things while doing a different job, why can't you do it while learning the job full time and applying yourself then,
Yeah,
So
yeah, very, very well said. I hope everyone listens to this. I'll put timestamps and be like, listen to his advice at the end.
my other thing that I wanted to say was make sure to just have the time to, I know one of your goals was 4 applications a day. I'd say
Mm.
strive for 10 if you can, because I
Okay.
know doing 10 a day was like, I don't know, it's normal to like feel anxiety. Like, am I going to hear back from anyone? Anytime I felt that anxiety, I was like, well, I haven't done 10 a day yet. And as soon as I did 10 a day, I was like, I'm going to get something.
Yeah, and
It's
you
going to
did.
happen.
You got a lot. You got more than 10%, I feel, something like this. That's pretty good.
No, and I was starting to hear back from remote jobs now. At first, I wasn't. At first, I thought it was like impossible, but now, like, I am like getting those emails too, where I'm like, oh, geez, I didn't think that was going to happen. All right. I'd say the portfolios too. You could be a lot more in depth with them. Like something you showed was how you can have step by step stuff with it, and
Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure I had something, so I just put in the link to the video, and I was hoping that'd be enough. So I'm sure that's something that will look a little different from some other people's portfolio, because I know there was probably some step by step ones, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
something else nice to know too, right? Is knowing you can do your portfolio a little different as long as you know you're coming across professional.
Do you have any like a final message to viewers or anything like
Oh, don't be, it was worth every penny. Like
that?
honestly, like I know I'm gonna be so happy in like my future, and I left on really good terms, right? Like everyone was like, "We're
Nice.
so happy for you." And it just goes to show you like you'll get a noticeably different like vibe with you. You'll know you're on your purpose. And
Mm.
that's like the kind of thing you're going to want to be feeling, and how you know you got that positive future. So don't be afraid to, even if there's like other obstacles, just take the step. And I think if it's meant to be, it will take care of itself, which is usually how it goes when something's the right fit for you.
Cool. Very, very well said. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I think
Yeah.
this is an amazing course, and I highly recommend it.
Thanks. I
I've
appreciate it.
been preaching it.